This is Trump, around 6 years old, standing next to his first grade teacher. And here he is at 11 years old on vacation. Now, between here and here, at 8 years old, it's reported that Donny Boy became a millionaire thanks to gifts from his daddy. Then, in 1968, after graduating college, his daddy gave Donny his first job and reportedly paid him around $1 million a year. And as you probably know, his daddy ultimately gave Donny $403 million. Anyway, now that America has an affordability crisis, by the way, this is a food line in Oregon, and the Trump crime family is literally making billions of dollars from blatant, unprecedented corruption. And he's demanding that we pay him $230 million from our tax dollars. It should be noted that there's no evidence that Trump has ever shopped for groceries for himself. And he hasn't flown commercial in decades. By the way, I love that this says rump. And he's gotten years of free health care at our expense. So why should anyone believe he even understands what it's like to need a job, pay for skyrocketing health insurance or medical bills, or even buy eggs? It's said that to whom much is given, much is expected. But it sure appears that Trump expects more and more while we get less and less. Do you agree?
People aren't spending any money anymore. They just don't have it. Do you have it? Do you have the money to go out right now and take a vacation? Because I don't have it. A lot of people don't have it anymore. Disneyland numbers are down. All the airlines, their numbers are plummeting right now. A lot of the airlines are in serious trouble right now. But the money's just not there. I'm sitting in front of a restaurant right now that usually has a waiting line that you have to go into. 6 months ago, you had to wait to get in there. Now, I can walk right up to the counter, order my food, sit down, couple minutes. The people just don't have extra expendable money. You go to the grocery store, you're going to spend $200 for 3 people. Who spends less than $100 in a week? Do you spend less than $100 a week? Please like, share, and repost this, but the money's just not there anymore. Return on investment to go to work, just not there anymore. The only people that are spending the big money inside the grocery store are the people with the cards. And I ain't got one. Do you got one?
If we lose, you're going to have a crash like you wouldn't believe. If we lost this election, I think the market would go down the tubes. I think it's going to be 1929 depression if we don't win. If I would have lost, the stock market would crash. If he's elected, the stock market will crash. If he gets in, the market will crash. If Biden gets in, the market will crash. If Harris wins this election, the result will be a Kamala economic crash. We're going to have a crash like a 1929 crash if she gets in. We're going to have a crash like 1929 if she gets in. It will not be pretty. Thank you.
No, thank you.
We have some horrible economic news right now in Donald Trump's economy. According to Goldman Sachs, they estimate October 50,000 American jobs were lost. Economists surveyed by Dow Jones had been expecting that October non-farm payrolls to show a loss of 60,000 jobs. Goldman Sachs puts the decline at 50,000 jobs. Remember, job numbers have yet to come out in October because of the government shutdown. The Bureau of Labor Statistics said it would not be releasing job numbers. But now, one of the biggest banks, Goldman Sachs, is estimating that job numbers are really bad. 50,000 jobs lost. And well, let me tell you something. Anecdotally, when I speak to people my age, young people under the age of 30, I'm 26 years old, many of them who currently are unemployed or looking for a new employer say they have a very difficult time of finding a job. Why? Because no one is hiring. And the people that are hiring are getting thousands of applications, and therefore it's very difficult to get an interview. I will continue to provide you updates as we get them. Spread the word. Follow along for all the news you need to know about.
This dude is panicking. He's panicking because he doesn't have the money. He's panicking because he spent the money. The SNAP contingency fund, whatever tariff money that came in, it was not trillions, but it is estimated to be about 80 billion. It's gone. It's spent. Not just that, but this goes all the way back to USAID and the DOGE stuff. They have taken money from all kinds of places in the government. And he's panicking now because the Supreme Court, in their oral arguments the other day, sounded like even the conservatives, that they're going to rule against him on the tariffs being unconstitutional, which means he has to give the money back. And he's panicking because he doesn't have the money to give it back. He's riddled with dementia, so he's out here just admitting it. This is just an admission. This is the biggest theft of the American government in our history. We don't even know the tip of the iceberg. This is absolutely insane. We need a full audit of every dollar that has been spent in our government since January. I mean, really, we need a better audit of our government for like years and years, but since January, since he came into office, because I don't think that there is any money in these funds. He stole it. He stole our money.
We are at an information war against the MAGA Americans, and they are losing their minds because they no longer control the narrative. There are no more Haitians eating the cats and the dogs. There's no one. There is no more immigrants taking their jobs. There is no one. Literally, and still, we have the same problems affecting Americans. I like people like Joe Biden, people who would do work and remain silent about it. Not people like Trump, many words, less actions. So let's continue watching and ensure that you leave a comment or a like so that you can continue boosting this video. Because the liberal voice has been silenced across all social media sites, in Twitter, Facebook, anywhere. They are all friends of Trump. Even our mainstream media, they are being sued by Trump. So ensure that you give us a voice. Comment, like, do something to boost these videos. Let's continue watching.
Babe, it's looking bleak. Last night, while everybody was occupied, the Fed Reserve pumped the banking system with $29.5 billion. This is bad. This means things are tightening so highly or so intensely with the lack of liquidity and reserves. Finances is not the monetary system is not my strongest suit, but I even know this is bad. With the US dollar dropping 11% this year, more than it's dropped in over a century, over 100 years, on top of this, and all the layoffs and the job market, this is bad. This is really, really bad. I keep advising people to take their money out of the banks, and that makes the problem so much worse. It's bad. It's very bad. Mutual aid will save us. I don't know what else will. At least during the Great Depression, they could grow their own food. Now, we don't even have our own land to grow food. We're fucked. We're fucked.
We're going to look back at this moment and realize this is when they fundamentally broke the economy. The economy has been a mess for decades. It has everything to do with the way power and wealth is concentrated. Really, since the 90s, wealth has been accumulating at the top. And that is by design. That's how the tax system works. That's how the regulatory system works. It's broken. And when more and more money is hoarded at the top, that means folks in the middle have less to spend. They're working harder than they've ever worked, but they don't have enough money to pay all of their bills. And even if they do, there's no money left over for savings or vacation or that kind of stuff. Even though Trump and congressional Republicans ran on fixing the economy, what they're doing is making what was wrong with it way worse. There's obviously this global trade war and the tariffs. That obviously hurts almost everybody. It's what they're doing with this budget and these taxes that's horribly problematic for you. They want to make permanent these tax cuts that have overwhelmingly helped the super wealthy. There are all these regulations that allow them to do it that need to be dealt with, but the fact that they don't have to really pay any taxes makes a huge difference for them. It costs us, the rest of us, a lot. In order to pay for these tax giveaways to the super wealthy, they have to add to our debt, which doesn't help any of us. They're going to cut healthcare from tens of millions of people. They announced just recently that they're going to go after federal pensions. They also want to make sure that the power they've consolidated is protected. And so there have been efforts to break up corporate consolidation and return competition to marketplaces. Meaning as consumers, we want to have enough choices that everyone's fighting for us and prices come down. To get back to that kind of competitive place, you need to break up a lot of this corporate consolidation. So we have more options. That's called antitrust work, and we have an entire group of people dedicated to that. Except they're now working on legislation to kill those efforts. They're working to make the wealth and power that's been hoarded at the top permanent. If there's enough public pressure on this Congress, things could change. They could leave the antitrust work alone and let us get our power back, and they could pass a tax bill that provides tax relief for everyone who needs it: workers, middle-class families, small businesses, farmers, and not mess with people's pensions, not take away their health care, not take away food assistance, not take away more and more of their wealth, and not add anything to the deficit by simply requiring those at the top to pay all their taxes. That's it.
If you're wondering when our fellow Americans are going to recognize the damage that Donald Trump is doing to this country, I want to point out that more and more Americans are. This is easy to miss because it doesn't get covered much, but public opinion has been moving quickly and dramatically away from the president. Among young people, he's lost 34 points of support. And I think it's because he's failing to keep his most basic promises. He hasn't brought prices down. They're going up because of his actions. The economy as a whole is getting worse. And most Americans see that and recognize it. And it's showing up in the way that they think and talk about the president. So don't fall for this attempt to make you feel disempowered. Raising our voices makes a difference. It's clearly having an effect, and we've got to keep it up.
The numbers do not lie. The job market is practically frozen. Unemployment is at its highest level in 4 years. Inflation is rising. Home building is stagnant. The manufacturing sector is shrinking. And to top it all off, Trump is raising the price of everything. Vegetables are up 40%. Coffee, 15%. Everything from toothpaste to detergent to shoes to video game consoles costs more. And more price hikes are on the way this fall and holiday season as businesses exhaust their inventories and give up on eating billions of dollars of added cost. This is America's golden age under Donald Trump. If it wasn't clear before, it is abundantly clear now. Unless you are a billionaire getting enormous tax cuts and generous corporate giveaways, this economy sucks. Costs are piling up, saving money is nearly impossible, and just getting by, let alone buying a home or raising a family, is a lot harder. And the worst part of it is, there was actually no reason for any of this. There's no pandemic, we're not in the middle of a war, there's no ongoing emergency. This is a crisis of the president's own making, and we're all paying the price. Donald Trump has made shortages the cornerstone of his economic agenda, and it is working. We now have shortages of nearly everything: food, electricity, healthcare, workers. And with less supply to go around, everything costs more. We are on a speed run to become Venezuela. And people can see it. This is a deliberate economic program. Like, there's this sense that he just wakes up in the morning and does whatever he feels like doing. And to some extent, he is improvisational. But make no mistake, he has a coherent economic theory, which is we should shrink the supply of everything. He thinks it strengthens the dollar. He thinks it helps with manufacturing. And I think he thinks that the less there is of stuff, the more people have to go and petition the king for mercy. And in turn, the United States is set to shrink for the first time in our history. Think about that. The United States, the greatest nation that the world has ever known, the indispensable nation, the leader of the free world, the leader of the world, is shrinking. We are becoming smaller and weaker in more ways than one under Trump.
President Trump is tired of hearing about how much things are costing you.
So I don't want to hear about the affordability, because right now we're much less. If you look at energy, we're getting close to $2 a gallon gasoline. With Biden, it was $4.50, $5. Another thing, inflation. We had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Now we have virtually no inflation at all. It's down at a very low number and a very normal number.
That was Trump just last night. Now, you can feel any way you want about what the president just said. As always, I do not report on feelings in this video. I'm going to get into the actual facts and the numbers when it comes to what he's talking about, gasoline and inflation. But before I do that, I just want to take you back a few years. Do you remember when inflation was really high? And I was reporting on it here on my page every single month. But President Biden and his entire administration would say up and down and over again that inflation was transitory. And then when the inflation numbers did actually start to come down, the Biden administration kept saying, see, the economy is getting better. But you called bullshit. You said over and over that the cost of living was too high. I know, because you were telling it to me in my comment section too. And that was happening because you were feeling the long-term effects of inflation. You were seeing it in your grocery prices and your gas prices. And because of that disconnect between what you were saying very loudly about the very real cost of living and what the Biden administration was trying to convince you of based on the numbers, what happened during the 2024 election? In the end, Democrats lost the House, the Senate, and the White House. Now, I just wanted to remind you of that episode because just like what happened with President Biden, what President Trump is saying now is not connecting to what you are saying about this economy and the cost of living and prices being too high. Okay, so now let's get into the actual numbers. You heard Trump say gas prices are getting close to $2 a gallon. According to AAA, as of yesterday, the average price for a gallon of regular gas in this country was $3.08. That is only 3 cents cheaper than it was a year ago. And diesel, that's sitting at $3.71 a gallon, which is 14 cents higher than it was a year ago. So none of that is anywhere close to $2 a gallon. But in the state of Mississippi, the average cost for a gallon of regular is $2.61. That is the closest to $2 a gallon I could find. But it's still 61 cents above $2. Now, let's talk about inflation. Trump keeps saying that we had the worst inflation, and now we have virtually no inflation. Well, he's partially right. Coming out of the pandemic in June of 2022, we saw inflation spike to 9.1%. That was bad. But was it the worst we've ever seen in the history of our country? No. We've had several periods of higher inflation. For example, in the late 1970s and early 80s, inflation peaked at 14%. Just ask your parents and grandparents about it. They'll tell you. Now, let's talk about this other claim that President Trump keeps making. He keeps saying we have virtually no inflation. And your groceries and energy bills, he says, those are great. It's the press who's lying to you about it.
Our energy costs are way down. Our groceries are way down. Everything is way down. And the press doesn't report it. The press reports whatever the con people say. You know, I call the Democrats con men and women. They make up numbers.
Okay, so let's start with overall inflation, and then I'll talk about grocery prices and energy prices specifically. As I've been reporting every single month for years, the U.S. government releases a report on inflation every month. Coincidentally, Trump's own Bureau of Labor Statistics said in the month of September, which is the most recent report we have, inflation increased 3% when compared to September of 2024. It also increased between August and September of this year. The Federal Reserve wants inflation to be increasing at no more than 2% every year. So the fact, according to Trump's own government, is generally inflation is going up, not down, and it is not virtually gone. It's very much still around. Now, let's talk about grocery prices. According to that same September CPI report, the price you are paying for every single item at the grocery store was 2.7% more than it was in September of 2024. And if you can afford to go out to a restaurant and eat, the report found in the month of September, that would have cost you 3.7% more than it did in September of 2024. So grocery prices and food prices are up well above the 2% Federal Reserve target. Last, let's talk about energy, and that's a doozy. I already told you about gas prices, but energy isn't just about gasoline. The same September CPI report found electricity is up more than 5% year over year, and natural gas is up almost 12% between September of this year and September of last year. Trump said none of that's a problem, but the only problem he does see is with Republicans who are not telling you how great Trump's economy is.
So the affordability is much better with the Republicans. The only problem is the Republicans don't talk about it. And Republicans should start talking about it and use their heads. because we have great numbers. We have great, and they're going to only get better.
Thank you to everyone who has watched this video to the end. It's always amazing having you here, my viewers, my subscribers. Ensure that you leave a comment or a like. So my 2 cents on this whole issue is the fact that numbers don't lie. You cannot see, you cannot experience, and you cannot attest to the fact that we are all going through hardships now, economic hardships. We are being priced out of everything which you could afford maybe 2, 3, 5 years ago. But now, Trump has made everything worse. Before he came into office, he used to stand behind billionaires, the likes of SoftBank CEOs, the likes of Qatar billionaires, Saudi billionaires, in EU, whatever, claiming that they are bringing in billions of US dollars to the United States economy. How many new companies have you seen sprouting in the United States? Except the Hyundai plant, which came in, I guess, 2023, and they chased them away. Which one? The collapse, the market collapse in this country, it's real. Everyone can feel it. And MAGA are mad about it because they have lost the information war. People are seeing how reckless they are in managing our economy. How small businesses are collapsing left, right, and center. And the only thing that Trump is focused now, his main problem is the Golden Ballroom, $50 million US. And where does he get the money? I don't know. Maybe the 230 million he will get from DOJ and some few donations from the billionaires. Where do you think the money will come from? He says from his own pocket, from his own what? Hosting parties at Mar-a-Lago. You know what I mean? Going to these dinners with the billionaires. Do you think that your agenda comes up when Trump is talking with the billionaires? Do you think so? Or maybe they are discussing about that young man who, or that old man who lost his Medicare, Medicaid, or maybe lost his job. You know what I mean? Those many millions of people who are on SNAP benefits. Do you think that your agenda comes up? The energy prices which Trump promised to lower, which in general leads to lower production costs and maybe lowering the prices of goods. What is the gas prices in your place? Tell me in the comment section. They are intentionally crashing our economy, devaluing our dollar, so that everything can become cheap and billionaires can grab everything at a cheaper price. And my question is, when is enough for these people? When is enough for the lobbyists? When is enough for Trump to know that Americans are suffering and Americans are the ones who voted him into office and their agenda should come first? But we Democrats too have a problem with messaging. We are very poor in messaging. We are focused on Epstein files. We are focused on ICE. We are focused on issues that are not affecting Americans at the moment. The main issue that is affecting most Americans at the moment is affordability. Affordability. We are being priced out of basic needs. How can you be priced out of healthcare? How can you be priced out of healthcare? A matter of life and death. And Trump is happy about it. How can you be priced out of food? A basic need. Who in this world survives without food? And we are literally being priced out of food. Basic food. They want us to die or what? Do they want us to die? The American dream has been crushed by the Republicans since the Ronald Reagan era. Since Bush did the 2008 crash, whatever. And that is the reason that the Republicans in office, they are always focused on defunding education so that we can continue having less educated Americans who can question their fiscal policies. Go to any red states in Mississippi, deep in Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana. Ask any MAGA Republican about the fiscal whatever situation of our country. He knows nothing. He knows nothing. Trump is crashing our stock markets. Trump is devaluing our dollar. And because most Americans who vote for him don't travel to feel the impact or to interact with the many people to get their perspective of the country in general, they don't question him. And they continue voting him. Until one day, Democrats will decide enough is enough and come out, all of us, and vote in mass numbers. It's the only way to save this country, outvoting MAGA Americans. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section. So what I usually say is stay alert, stay focused, Watch blue, talk blue, vote blue. Don't fall for the government psyop. And until the next video, thank you for your attention to this matter.